Supreme Court said, no, it can't be done. Anyway, so the administrators, since FDR, the administrators of the bankruptcy
Yes.
of the USA went through they had the slaughterhouse cases earlier, the question of states' rights and whether or not there's a taking away of any states' rights interest, the slaughterhouse cases and the various cases, switch in time cases during the 30s, including the National Recovery Act case, and the turning around of whether or not the government can extend beyond its limited powers under the Constitution. Right? So, anyway, so the administrator of the bankruptcy from FDR on, and then
when you say administrator
of the bankruptcy is the president of the United States, who is the trustee, who's the hand in the glove of the corporate entity, which has a reorganization plan, okay? All right? I mean, it's that simple, and it doesn't get any more complicated. So everything we operate under contract law, simple contract law. Everything's contract offer and with consideration and a back and forth on an equal basis. So everything's contract law. And they say, admiralty law and that sort of thing, which is contract law, but it's a little difficult unless you look at admiralty law, how that works. But certainly, citizens are the sovereigns under the Constitution. We are not subjects. The government exists because we allow it to exist. We created it at birth. Each one of us is sovereign with our inalienable rights guaranteed by a Christ, by his blood, and that a Masonic structure, a Messianic structure. There was the Messianic Judaism and Christianity, and after all, Christ was a Messianic Jew. And he essentially said to the Kabbalists and the Gnostics, get the hell out of here. This has got to be the way it's got to be. You're doing all sorts of mumbo jumbo. Of course, they were worshiping Baal and everything else, but it's unending. Okay, it's unending. But nonetheless, we are presently going through a untenable reorganization again, with an administrator who is not eligible to be the administrator under the Constitution under Article 2, Section 1, Clause 5. And as such, when he does his oath on the 20th of January, he's obligated to me, when I give him my power of attorney to act as my administrator, because I'm sovereign, you're sovereign, I have 72 hours, as in any contract, to return the contract, not wishing a contract. So the computer, Justice Roberts, you'd think, he used the computer, he computerized all his memory, right? He can't even remember the oath. He screwed it up on the 20th, right? And Obama didn't even get it right himself, right? So the point is, they're laughing in their sleeves. Roberts is laughing as an Opus Dei member. There's 5 members of the court are on Opus Dei. It's a cult set up by a Jesuit priest in Portugal. So in the 50s. So the point is that the Constitution as a piece of paper is undefended. Nobody's standing up and say, this is mine, this is my contract, this is my social contract. You want to do business with me? You prove to me what's in there.
Because you have
no opinions. There's never been an opinion on native-born or a natural-born citizen. And as such, it's got to be put before a court, the Supreme Court. They're there to interpret it so there can be no misunderstanding. I mean, your opinion is fine. My opinion is fine. It doesn't mean a thing. Obama's opinion, he's got an opinion which is supposedly educated. He's an attorney. He's a crack constitutional lawyer. His opinion is you can have a dual citizenship as long as you're born here and you're a natural-born citizen, right?
Yes.
Now, there's a conflict with that. They put in this jack-in-the-box McCain as the Manchurian candidate, as Cardinal Egan, essentially urging the Masonic, the Carlos Slim editorial policy-controlled New York Times, Carlos Slim being the richest man in the hemisphere, big-time Mason and Illuminati, who was a communications mogul in the whole hemisphere. Egan wanted to get, and Egan being a Knight of Malta and a part of that
you
old
mean,
structure, the CFR.
You mean Archbishop Egan?
Egan, right. They had to solve the problem of keeping all of the lawsuits quieted. To kill the lawsuits, like
Yes.
Berg's lawsuit, Key's lawsuit, nobody has any standing, blah, 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 right? Of course, all I wanted, like Oliver Twist, can I have a little bit more porridge? A little bit more porridge. Where was the mom? Where was the mom? So, but I see McCain being endorsed as the candidate by the New York Times, hobnobbing with Egan at the CFR. He gave a presentation to CFR, just like Obama gave his presentation to CFR, which is the Cardinal
Council of Foreign Relations.
Right, which was set up by Georgetown and is under the control of the Cardinal of the United States, which is the Manhattan Cardinal out of St. Patrick's Cathedral, and that's been forever, for at least for longer than I can remember. But I remember the Spellman business. But nonetheless, so what happens is that we have a McCain coming in whose parents were citizens, yes. And I thought he had been born in Fort Amador. I was stationed, when I was in the military, I was stationed down in Panama Canal Zone. Fort Amador was the Navy base, right? And they had a great hospital and everything else. But as it turns out, I found out later, he was born in Cologne. He was born, Cologne is Columbus in
Yes, but
in Panama, Cologne, which is
Panama, I see.
which is in the Republic of Panama, not on U.S. territory. Now, the Senate, in order to cover this up, when there was a lawsuit, when somebody challenged McCain in January of last year to produce his birth certificate and prove he was eligible, right? And that ended up as a very interesting lawsuit, which ends up in the Senate with a resolution 511, which was passed in April. I think it was April of last year, and which Obama, as a U.S. Senator, voted on the opinion that you can be born overseas as long as it's with two parents or citizens. See, he agrees on that. He votes on that resolution. That's Senate Resolution 511. Of course, it's just an opinion. In other words, it was never taken through the courts. In other words, everybody's got an opinion. Everybody, hot air comes out of all the orifices, and the Senate's got its own hot air. And Obama voted saying McCain, who was born of two parents in Panama, is a legitimate candidate and eligible for run as president. Of course, it was a lie because he was born in Cologne. That was being kept quiet. Reached Strunk, STRUNK.WS, whiskey sour. And that's the endings that they're using nowadays, WS. Other than that, just click on contact. I'd be more than happy to speak with you. I'm running for office. I think everybody should run for local office. And that's where it's at, folks. You've got to gain control of your local governments and the state government, period.
This is Sandra Schulte for Speak Up. Until the next time.